Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue, build $1 trillion of global GDP and 10 million jobs. This is our 275th free online mentoring roundtable. So we've been doing this for a long time. You can imagine 275 episodes of this. You know, you can call it a show, you can call it a working session. We actually prefer to think of it as a working session. So we consider ourselves very privileged to have been able to work with so many entrepreneurs in so many different parts of the world for so long, and really have an opportunity to contribute to your process. So thank you for giving us that opportunity. The event is being recorded. You will have the recording available both on our blog as well as on our YouTube channel. If you're live tweeting the show today, please use hashtag 1M1M. And you can also follow us on Twitter at 1M by 1M or at Romana. Both handles are full of really, really interesting content. And our YouTube channel is 1M1M Roundtables. All prior sessions are available on the channel. These are the call-in instructions. I will put this slide back up when we are ready for more of a full roundtable mode discussion. It is a roundtable, so we want your participation, we want your questions, we want you to engage. So please think about questions as you're going through the session with us now. Line up the questions, and as soon as the line is open, you're welcome to dial in. We're going to start today with a conversation with Art Papas, who's the co-founder and CEO of Bullhorn. And Bullhorn is a very interesting company. I encountered Art a few months ago and was fascinated by his story, so I decided to invite him to come and share more of it with you and also have a chance to dialogue here on camera. So Art, welcome. Thank you for making time for us here.
Thanks for having me. It's great.
So we are going to start a bit far back, actually. I know your journey has gone through a lot of twists and turns, and it's twists and turns that make, stories interesting, right? As from reading so many stories and watching so many stories on film, twists and turns are what makes human stories exciting. So Art's story actually begins back in the first .com heydays. And Art, you started a company in the traditional route and everything. So tell us more about what happened and how did that part of the journey, evolve?
Sure. So Bullhorn started back in 1999. So today we are one of the largest software providers of CRM software for in the cloud. And there's another large software provider that does CRM in the cloud that also started in 1999. They're a little bigger than us because they actually focused on CRM at the beginning. So we took a little diversion back in 1999. So when we started, Bullhorn was we were actually trying to be a freelance marketplace for an online freelance marketplace for talent to come and get freelance gigs. So our job was to try and get companies to post freelance gigs to bullhorn.com, and freelancers would come and bid on those projects and upload portfolios of their work. If you're thinking that sounds a lot like Elance, we were actually a big competitor of Elance's back in 1999 when we started.
And why do you think it didn't work at the time?
I think that the founders of Elance will agree with me that 1999 was way too early for that concept. We were essentially trying to disintermediate staffing agencies who provided contract labor. And in 1999, people were just getting comfortable with the idea of like, okay, maybe I can buy a book online, maybe I'll order some pet food, although pets.com didn't make it. That probably was less about the fact that people don't want to buy stuff online, more maybe about sock puppets on TV than anything else. But it was too early to get people to change behavior so radically. And we gave that idea about 2 years before we decided finally, and people loved it. People loved the concept of working online, connecting with gigs online. People loved the concept of tapping massive talent pools online. It was just too early to get people to commit.
And you're right. I've had extensive conversations with the founders of Elance, and they also experienced exactly that. They did pivot as well. They had Kleiner Perkins behind them, so they were able to get the capital to pivot and so forth. So now, what happened in your case? How much money did you raise for that first experiment?
Right. They raised $50 million. The difference between Bullhorn and Elance back then was they raised $50 million from Kleiner Perkins, and they had enough money to do whatever pivot they wanted to. Bullhorn raised $5 million from a couple of not so well-known VCs, one of whom was Internet.com, who proceeded to disintegrate in 2001, and they distributed all their shares to their LPs. If anybody's ever had any experience with your cap table going from five outside investors to about 150 overnight, that's no fun. And so we just hadn't raised a lot of capital. We didn't have well-known VCs, and we had really risk-adverse VCs. They were private equity players who really shouldn't have been doing early-stage venture. As soon as the dot-com bubble burst, they were convinced that they needed to go back to doing late-stage private equity, and they told us, I love your ideas to pivot the business, but I hate the idea of giving you more capital, so you're cut off. And, oh, by the way, if you raise more money, we do have anti-dilution, and we intend to enforce it. And that was quite painful, and I didn't name them for a reason. I think plenty of VCs back in that era waived their anti-dilution rights. I am the poster child for why you should avoid anti-dilution rights at all costs in your Series A, B, C term sheet, even your Series D. They're just evil and awful, and I could probably do a half hour on that, but I'll spare you all.
So what you did pivot at that point. Did you pivot with these VCs, even though they didn't give you more money, but they still remained shareholders, or were you able to do something to cut them off?
We did. We went from a venture-backed business that was essentially a dot-com with no revenue model to a bootstrapped business with $500,000 of capital in the bank that had to customer fund. So we shifted from venture to bootstrapped in order to preserve the cap table. And we couldn't attract outside capital because everybody's first question was, well, what are your existing investors doing? If your pivot is such a great idea, nobody called it a pivot back then, but if this new venture is such a great idea, why aren't they backing it? And so we became a CRM company with $500,000 in capital, and I'll tell you, it was one of the greatest things that I could have ever done because it forced incredible discipline. It forced me to listen to customers. It forced me to understand the real drivers in my business, to be super capital efficient. And, Bullhorn, essentially, we've only lost money since that pivot in 2002. We've only lost money in 2 quarters since then.
So talk a little bit about how did you decide and settle on the, this vertical CRM as your pivot concept? What was going on? What did you observe? What gave you the confidence that going to that model would actually work in a bootstrap mode?
What's funny about that is the original model was, the original business was sort of something I never really was truly passionate about. I had built my career as a B2B software developer. You know, I was 24 when we started the business, so it wasn't a very long career, but I really loved going into people's offices, looking at their workflow, and building apps for them to use to run their business. And, you know, I would say the B2C experiment was sort of a sideshow. And as soon as it was like, okay, that's not going to work, you're free to do anything you want now, I just gravitated toward, let me go solve a problem for a business. I understand that. And I know I can, in a recession, I know that businesses need productivity. They're going to spend money on this. And it just seemed like a natural fit for me. And then customer validation was almost immediate. The first few meetings I had with customers, they so desperately needed CRM tools. They wanted it to be on the internet, which was exciting to me. And it just all flowed from there. It was really natural, as opposed to, I felt like it was 1999, we should do something B2C because that's what the venture community wants to see. That felt very unnatural. It was almost like a relief to go back to doing B2B software for me.
And then you made another very strategic decision that paid off, which is to position as a vertical CRM. Talk about that a bit and exactly how you positioned, how you differentiated against your much larger competitor like Salesforce.com and others.
Yeah, so we really, as you've alluded to, right? We were kind of late to the game. In 1999, Salesforce started, Bullhorn started. We spent 3 years focused on the wrong thing. Okay, we pivot and we're going to go into the same business, but we don't want to be the same because we've got a competitor that's got a lead. How do we position ourselves so that we have a very defensible position against a better funded, larger competitor? And what we realized was there were a whole bunch of industries that were not going to be served anytime soon by Salesforce.com. And if we were to position in those industries, we could get a leadership position and develop industry-specific workflow, develop functionality that's very, very unique and differentiated, and essentially be unassailable in those verticals. And that was a really good move, and that paid off in a number of ways and has made Bullhorn a much better company today. Now, we compete horizontally in the marketplace, and we're on the Gartner Magic Quadrant and all of that. However, it's the stuff that we built for those verticals initially that made us that make us really special today. So, for instance, you and I talked about the way that we have this really powerful email integration that salespeople don't have to log activities in the system. We just look at their email and automatically log everything that they do for them, and then we put insights on top of that. That's all stuff we developed because we were serving a specific set of industries where that email integration was an early requirement, and we just got lucky with that. So.
And which verticals are you dominant in?
So our first customers were mostly recruiting and staffing firms. And then from there, we moved to consulting. From there, we moved to financial services, commercial real estate, banking, insurance. So we've broadened out. And most of our customers are, I would say that if you're in a business where you care as much about retaining and keeping great relationships with existing customers as you do about prospecting. Everybody cares about new sales and signing up new customers. But if you care about retaining existing customers, then Bullhorn is a great solution because we grew up with customers who that's all they cared about. And so I think that decision to go vertical when there was a very well-established larger player was a really good decision.
Great. Now, how long from this point on did you go without any outside capital, customer financed on top of the $500,000 that you had left, and what kind of revenue level did you reach in this bootstrap mode?
Yeah, so we went from 0 in revenue in 2002 when we pivoted to a $13 million run rate in 2007 when Highland Capital and General Catalyst approached me and said, we keep hearing about this business. How come you guys don't need our money? Please take some money from us. And what we ended up doing actually was we ended up taking money to cash out the original shareholders who, you know, they had been in for 7 years and they were in the money and they hadn't really put any more money to work but had a great return. And so they bought out the original guys and they became my financial partner. They put a little bit of money on the balance sheet. We actually didn't end up using that much of it. So
the primary capital raise was to take out those annoying original shareholders.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. So now they're off the cap table. You have Highland Capital and General Catalyst on the cap table, and you're going on more or less in a bootstrap manner. You're basically organically growing because you're growing out of customer revenues, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. And we, you know, we tried to spend money. We did end up losing a little bit of money in the year that we went into the UK and we went international. It's pretty hard to open a new geography without burning capital, and it really made sense. You know, you can do it certainly through cash flow, but when you go into a new country, you want to show up with a big force, with support staff, with the right, you know, marketing message. You don't want to go in and, you know, with 2 salespeople and, you know, say, hey, we're here to show you that we're here to stay. So we went in big, and that paid off. That was a tremendous investment. You know, probably invested maybe $3 million in opening up the UK, and today that's 30% of our revenue. So that worked out really, really well. Pretty awesome ROI. But essentially, we've been a profitable company. That's kind of isn't that the point of business, right? To make money.
You would think so. You don't. That doesn't seem like it. If you look around in Silicon Valley these days, especially when bubble times are in swing like now, that doesn't seem like it at all. But you know, as far as 1 million by 1 million, that is definitely the philosophy that we work with. Is profits are the point of business. Customers' revenues and profits are the point of business. So 3 years ago, you sold the company to a private equity firm, yes?
Yeah, I like to say that my investors sold their shares to a private equity firm, but essentially, essentially we did a buyout with Vista Equity Partners, and it was another case. It proves the adage that companies are bought, not sold. Vista Equity came to me through, they networked their way through a couple contacts that I had. I took a meeting. They said, we love this business. I want to buy it. I had no idea who they were. I later came to find out that they are one of the most prolific software private equity firms on the planet, and they just got named #1 private equity firm in I think in the world. So it turns out they're actually kind of a big deal in terms of their ability to make great investments and get returns. So I didn't know that we were getting courted by such a great firm, but you know, lo and behold, we went through a negotiation with them. We ran a process, and Vista turned out to be the high bidder. We had a lot of interest, but Vista ended up being the high bidder. And I'm really glad they were. They've been an amazing partner to us over the last 3 years.
What was the structure of the deal? You took out the Highlands and the General Catalyst, and you got some liquidity for yourself and your team, but still stayed in for the next leg?
Yeah, essentially, you know, that's very, very close to how it played out. I had been doing it for, you know, running Bullhorn for 10 years, a little bit of liquidity, but really wanted to become, you know, positioned such that I could take some risks with the business, make some acquisitions, and continue to grow the business with the ability to stay private for another, 3-4 years, which was important to me. I didn't want to go public when we were, a $50 million business. I felt like we were too small. We were growing really fast, but, that would have been the path. You take a venture investment, especially 3 years ago. Now you can do your unicorn round with Fidelity and T. Rowe, and that's great. But I think this presented private equity presented a really great stay private path for Bullhorn, and I'm really glad we did it.
So what's happened in the last 3 years since you did the private equity transaction? What has been the evolution? What have been the strategic moves? You talked about acquisitions. What are the highlights of the last 3 years?
We have done acquisitions, but I'd say the highlight for me has been, and this may sound funny, once we partnered with Vista Equity, our focus on innovation and customer experience went through the roof. Private equity takes a little bit different view than, say, venture. Venture's all about, how do you build the business as quickly as possible, and private equity takes a different view. It's how do you build a sustainable business that will be a wonderful asset to own down the road, whether I take it public or I keep it private and, dividend out shareholders. It's a different methodology for how you go about looking at what matters. Is it growth at any cost, or is it sustainable, profitable growth for the long term? And Vista came in, they said, we really want to hear about how you're going to keep your existing customers, the 6,000 customers you have, happy. We really want to hear about how you're going to deliver those customers a much broader set of solutions over time. And that was really refreshing, because that's kind of how I got my start, is sitting with customers, listening to customers. Customer has something they want, you give it to them, and you'll be rewarded. And, with Vista, we really took that approach. And the last 3 years, our growth rate has accelerated. Our net promoter score is higher. Our employee engagement has gone through the roof. We went from like a 3.3 on Glassdoor to like a 4.5. So we're one of the highest rated software companies on Glassdoor. And we're growing fast. We went from 400 employees at the start of the year to now we're at 550, and we'll probably end the year at 600. So for me, I'm having a blast. This is like, it was fun being venture-backed. It was fun being bootstrapped. It was fun being venture-backed again. Private equity for me has been the best yet.
Well, you're also at a point where, you know what you're doing, you know what the customers are buying, and you have some resources. So this is a point of the journey where things start I'm not saying things start to get easy, but things start to get to a different kind of challenges, scaling challenges, and that's definitely fun. So where to from here? You're about a $100 million revenue company now. Are you thinking about an IPO soon?
We are, yeah. That's in the plans, and I can't tell you what the market's going to be doing in the next 18 months, but hopefully it doesn't look like it did this July and August. And as long as the market's in steady shape, we'll be trying to float an offering, and so far it seems like that will be really well received. So we're excited about that.
So you're looking forward to running a public company now?
Can't wait.
That's not going to be as much fun, actually.
A lot of people say it's terrifying, right? Like the idea of being a public CEO, you're under the microscope, any wrong move, your stock price moves, or, you're at the whim of the markets. That's all true. What also is true is that you are forced to run a really great business. You're forced to focus on, delivering results to shareholders, and you're rewarded when you do. And we've been doing that for over a decade now. We feel good that we've been able to do it, and we're confident that we're going to run a great business no matter what. I can't control the market, I can't control the ups and downs, but I know I'll run a great business, and we'll continue to delight customers, and and the market rewards you with a good valuation when you do, and so that's it's exciting to me.
I think the part that is annoying in public companies is the level of governance and compliance and scrutiny and all of that stuff, which you have not experienced so far, and it's going to be a royal pain. And then the other thing that I think is really not so fun about public companies, and all the things that you said, that you have run a disciplined business and you're going to continue to run a disciplined business, will serve you very well in the public market. But the part that is not so great about public markets is long-term versus short-term. So you miss a quarter, or if you're trying to make investments that are not going to pay off in a very short-term mode, that stuff, the long-term versus short-term stuff, tends to be more tricky to navigate.
Those are all legitimate challenges, right? And yet governance, nobody looks forward to audit committee calls. And I myself would be lying if I said that I really relish that time. But, it's sort of like
part of the discipline.
It's sort of like home ownership, right? Nobody likes buying a home and having to mow the lawn, but you buy a home because there's real intrinsic value in home ownership. And so I believe the same thing is true of public. There's some things you have to do. You got to mow the lawn. You got to you got to make sure you keep up the paint. But it can be really beneficial. And then short term versus long term. I'm going to run my company for the long term, and I'm not going to be looking at the stock day to day. In fact, I might just have to hide the stock app on my iPhone and make sure I'm not looking at it at all, because it really doesn't matter what happens intraday, intramonth, intraquarter, intra-year. What matters is over the long haul, are we continuing to build a great business and take share in the market? And if we're doing that, it'll all work out.
So Art, final question. In our world, in the 1 million by 1 million worldview, bootstrap first, raise money later is our mantra. This is what we teach. We don't believe in the kind of, raise crazy amounts of money as quickly as possible, dilute as much as possible, get liquidation preferences up to the neck, and get the kind of anti-dilution that you have had to deal with, blah, 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 all these poor terms that really screw up cap tables and term sheets. And the kind of approach that you have described of really disciplined, profitability-oriented, actually sustainable growth-oriented businesses, not just growth at all costs, these are the core principles on which we are building 1 million by 1 million. Talk to our audience a bit more about the pros and cons of doing it your way versus doing it the way that is in vogue these days. 100+ unicorn companies with questionable, really questionable fundamentals. I heard recently from a friend of mine, and I don't have this validated, but one of the companies that are, unicorn $10 billion valuation companies only has about $300 million in revenue and is declining quarter over quarter. Revenue is declining quarter over quarter. So you have a company that's $300 million in revenue, declining to $100 million. You have a valuation of $10 billion. I don't know what to do with this company.
That's going to make a tough sell to the public markets, sure. So what I would say is I'm a huge fan of bootstrapping. I do angel investing, and I always tell people I meet with, don't raise outside capital other than angel until you've got product market fit figured out, because product market fit takes forever. You always think you're just on the verge of it, and you never are. It's like it's always a year away more than you think. And I've had a lot of entrepreneurs say, we're almost there. We haven't, you know, we're still got a really high churn, but we think we're going to do something next month. No, you're not. It's going to take you twice as long as you think, 3 times as long as you think. So when you raise outside capital and you set a valuation, then you're setting yourself up for problems down the road when you need more capital to figure it out. So I believe in bootstrapping until product market fit. Now, once you get to product market fit, you have a decision to make. Do you want to own 100% of your business or 90% of your business, or do you want to go big and share? And you can, that's a philosophical decision that an entrepreneur needs to make. Some people are like, I want to just invest like crazy, and I don't care if it goes to zero. You know, that $10 billion company that got to $200 million with declining revenues, yeah, but they got to $200 million, and that's cool, and I want to be able to say I did that someday. And it'll be hard if I, you know, overspend and I blow it, but what a great learning experience. If that's you, go raise a lot of capital and don't look back. If you're more conservative like me, you tend to be a little bit more pragmatic and say, all right, I could use outside capital, maybe I'll use debt, maybe I'll customer fund till I get bigger. That worked out for me very, very well. The point is, there's a right answer before product market fit, and then it's up to you. And the right answer is
not entirely up to you. There's one other variable there, which is TAM. Product market fit does not mean that you have enough TAM to raise huge amounts of money. You have to raise money that aligns with your total available market size. If you're operating in a niche market, you should not raise huge amounts of money.
Yeah, if you can't see a legitimate path to this business being $200 million in revenue someday, you know, yeah, it's going to take some work to get there, but if you can't see a path, you're like, oh, the whole market is $200 million, you have no business ever talking to a venture capitalist.
That's right. On that note, thank you. Art, thank you. This was excellent, excellent conversation. These are the kinds of messages I want our community to internalize, and I hope we'll have you back again sometime. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Would love to do that. Thanks so much for having me. I would love to come back, so thanks a lot.
All right. Okay, folks, we're going to switch to the next segment of the program, and I want to share with you an interesting announcement. We have just partnered with the Delaware Economic Development Office, DEDO is the short form. Ken Anderson, the Director of Entrepreneur and Small Business Support at DEDO, is in the room. We will talk to him later on in the program. But, you know, this is one of the things we do. We partner with economic development organizations, entrepreneurship development organizations in different parts of the world, and help facilitate their efforts in helping build their entrepreneurship community, entrepreneurial community, and you know, add more throttle to their efforts, help them with a bridge into Silicon Valley, and so forth. So that is what this partnership is all about. In fact, I believe our first presenter today is from Delaware. So Carvatize is the company, car drivers to crowdsource out advertising. And Mac is the presenter. Mac, please, Mac Nagaswamy, please unmute your line and tell us what you're doing.
All right, I'm unmuted. How are you doing, Sharmana?
I'm well, thank you, Mac.
All right, good. So should I just dive right into it and start breaking down the business of Carvatize? Sure. So, you know, the other day I was told by somebody that, you know, Mac, your business is outdoor advertising meets the sharing economy. And I thought that was a really appropriate kind of catchphrase to throw in our company. Because essentially what we do, Sharmana, is we take the everyday car driver going from point A to point B, and we use that advertising potential, which is there from the open real estate on the sides of the cars, and match those car drivers with brands who want to get exposure where those car drivers seen. So if you hit the next slide, we kind of get pigeonholed in the outdoor advertising industry, and I could really dive into kind of the woes of working with a very central institution in the advertising industry, which is media buyers. But it's all about categorization. So where does a new channel like this fit? We fit in the outdoor advertising. We're in the out-of-home category. 80% of the market share of $8 billion is held by billboards, and you have the three largest players outlined there as the second bullet point. Lamar, CBS Outdoor, which is now called Outfront, and Clear Channel. And the remaining market is just very heavily fragmented from geography to geography. I mean, this industry popped up 100 years ago, right after World War I. And it was just, you know, a very fragmented industry, and then things started consolidating because they realized, okay, there's these central advertisers like Coca-Cola and Hertz and Avis or whatever it may be, and they need national reach. So what if we just started acquiring all these small billboard companies all over the U.S.? So you kind of saw a consolidation effort of the outdoor advertising industry come the 70s. And I also think it's important to highlight, Shramana, what the use of out-of-home, which is the outdoor advertising industry, is used for. So if you look at kind of the bigger picture here, right, when a brand needs to get their message seen or they're working with an ad agency, they'll typically say, okay, you know, what's the objective, what's the strategy, what's the tactic? And then as part of the strategy and tactic, they pick the communication channels to which they want to get their message out. And you have a whole bunch of options. You have radio, you have print, you have cable, and we're seeing a huge rise in digital advertising for reasons I could explain, you know, I could get into, but I won't. And then we're just one of these categories, outdoor advertising. And the way that we're used, because of the limited amount of space and time that consumers can see billboards or transit advertising, we're always used as a support mechanism. So we're always used there to kind of prop up other channels of communication that an advertiser is trying to get their message seen through. So I always like to start this off by giving the background on outdoor advertising. And so here are the channels, right? As I said, billboards are the elephant in the room. They control 80% of the market share. And then you have transit, taxi, street furniture. Transit and street furniture sometimes gets lumped together, funny enough. And then you also have another category which is not specified here called alternative. So if you hit next slide. So the issue that we're running into here in the out-of-home industry is, let me just kind of, antiquated and personal can get pretty subjective. Let me kind of zone in on lack of innovation here. And so what's the problem here that we're solving? The problem here that we're solving is that historically, outdoor advertising for the past 100 years has just been completely technology vacant. So there's no use of really data. There's no use of any, you know, this huge new kind of contemporary evolution that we've gone through of almost every single consumer on the road having a mobile device. You know, posters just continue to stay posters. Buses just continue to stay buses. And in an era that we're in where accountability and metrics have taken the forefront of importance, all of these mediums really fall behind in verification and analytics and metrics. If you hit next slide, what it creates is an opportunity. So, I mean, Uber is not a taxi company. Airbnb is not a hotel company. But what they are is they serve as a platform using technology to connect two different parties together. And we're very similar in that regard, far from being of the prestige and prominence of those two companies. But we're kind of adapting a similar structure here. And so here's how the process works here, right? So when we're working with an advertiser, let's just say, so one of our clients is a relatively large university from this region called Wilmington University. They wanted to get their message seen in Newcastle, Delaware, to raise awareness for the beginning of school start, this September. So we ran a 3-month campaign during the summer. They tell us where they need their message seen. We have a huge database of car drivers who have signed up with our program, who are willing to put an advertisement on their car for $100 a month and for a brand that they like and support. The way they hear about us and the way they sign up is through our website, and we do digital advertising to get car drivers. But then a huge part of our business, Romana, is screening the car drivers, making, they have to be, our car drivers have to be able to become Uber drivers if they wanted to, or taxi drivers. They have to have a spotless record. When we find a match based upon where they create exposure, that's when we bring them into a wrap shop, which is a third party that we contract out. They wrap the cars. And, this is really where our differentiator sets in. So it's hard finding the right drivers and screening them and coordinating the wrap process, but really that's an operational issue. The driving and then the monitoring of, okay, what's happening out there when the cars are on the road. That's really where Carvertise excels in the outdoor advertising industry in terms of being able to provide verifiable metrics, which other companies can't. And then at the end of the campaign, we unwrap the car. But the beautiful aspect of this business, Romana, is the fact that we have a vast quantity of inventory of car drivers who have signed up with our program and who are willing to sign up with our program, who want to use their billboard as a car, who want to use their car as a billboard. So, we're really kind of riding the wave right now of the sharing economy. So here's one of the differentiators, right? And I kind of hit on the data piece. But let me start all the way at the far right. And this is actually the last slide that we'll go over before we do. I think you might want to do Q&A because the rest kind of gets into unit economics and the raise that we just went through. But let me start on the far right, new audience. So one of the reasons why this is significant here is because billboards are heavily regulated by zoning laws, and city councils don't really like having billboards in their, or cities don't really like having billboards in the city. So inventory is placed only in certain regions, right? And buses travel on certain predetermined paths. Yeah. Now, 96% of consumers are outdoors, so go outdoors. 4% though. So it's a very relevant market that you want to hit, right? But what about all these other places, and let's just say a very wealthy, affluent part of society, geographically speaking, that doesn't have any billboards up and buses don't travel there. So there's this kind of whole untapped market for eyeballs, so to speak, which no other outdoor medium can currently get to. So yeah, if you want to dive into Q&A, we can do that too.
So where is the unit economics and all that? What are you charging? What have you learned about the market? Is this already out there? What stage are you in?
Sure. So we're very early stage here, Romana. So we have a huge uphill battle that we're going through right now, which is kind of a category issue, which is the advertising industry, it can be broken up into multiple parts. And a huge institution that plays a heavy role in media placement for brands is an institution aptly named media buying agencies. And they use kind of a menu, so to speak, to decide what channels they should use to get a medium out. And currently, what we're dubbing out-of-home car advertising as this kind of sub-industry is not on that menu. So when you say, where are we at, or where are we currently, we are kind of growing locally and regionally. I think we fall very much in line with what I heard you mention earlier of bootstrapping first, raising money second, because that's exactly what we did and are still doing. Is we just started selling this.
Is this slide that's on the screen right now, that's actual? So you made $175,000 in 2014. Is that an actual?
So what we ended up closing the year in 2014 was $110,000. One of the sales that we had didn't end up. They just ended up reneging the signed contract we had. But yeah, that was our sales from 2014.
And how are you doing this year? What are you projecting for this year?
So this year we'll finish between 200 to 300,000.
Okay.
Somewhere within that range. And
so, and how are you selling? Are you selling to these media buying groups? Are you selling direct? Where are you gaining traction?
So funny enough, we sold to our first agency yesterday where we closed the deal. And just 2 weeks prior, we closed our first deal with a media buying agency for one of their hospitals. But one of the challenges that we face, Ramana, is we have limited time. There's limited business developers here. What customer group do we want to focus on first? Where's the low hanging fruit? And as a function of time and as a function of feasibility, what we've realized is we don't want to kind of bet the farm on agencies putting their clients' billboard money into Carvertise right now, because that process can get really dragged out from a decision-making standpoint. The sales cycle, times that by 2, at least, going from a normal sales cycle. So we found out of 6 months to 8 months to a year and a half to 2 years. And there's a lot of hesitancy and reservation about trying something new like this because the market hasn't adopted it.
Have you found shorter circuit sales cycles in any segment at this point?
Definitely. So there are a number of companies. So here's kind of how the target market's defined currently, which is there's these medium-sized companies that can be out of the top DMAs or that can be in the top designated marketing areas that don't believe in using agencies, that don't believe in using media buyers. They just in-house that process. And what we found is working with those clients are our go-to target customers, because typically they have a larger market spend where they're consistently spending advertising dollars in their market as and it's diversified: radio, print, magazine, outdoor. But just the most important component of it is that the decision maker is internal. And I can't stress that enough, because once you're able to explicitly identify, okay, who pulls the trigger when it comes down to making marketing spend decisions, that is much, much easier to do when the marketing department is internal in a company, as opposed to having this kind of divided power structure of responsibility between the ad agency.
No, you're right, Mac. You're right. That's the right direction to go. Now, then the next level of segmentation you want to do is what kinds of companies, what kinds of products, what kind of SIC codes. Like, you have to somehow or the other qualify your target audience and really position the company in a place where you can have high velocity sales uptake. That's the, we're huge believers in this program. From our methodology point of view, we are huge believers in laser sharp positioning. And if you can get that positioning right, and as Art was talking about earlier, that's the good positioning is what gets you to product market fit rapidly. And once you achieve that, then it's scaling fast from there on is much, much more, higher velocity, basically. So that's the holy grail, and you're doing it in the right way. There are, several other positioning points that you want to zero in on and figure out how you're going to get to that product market fit. It seems like you've made some progress, you've done experiments, learned a lot in the market, and the best thing is that you're already in revenue, which is wonderful, that you're, able to validate your assumptions, at least, with customers paying, which is incredibly important. So it's good. I think your presentation is excellent, and what you're trying to do is great. And I can see very clearly where, what to tune and how to tune so that we can help you get to the next level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what Art said and what you just emphasized about product market fit is exactly right. What he said was just the solid truth, which is, you think you're at this product market fit, and then you realize you're not quite there yet. And then you think it's right around the corner, and then it takes way longer than that. And then when you get to that point, you realize, okay, well, this actually isn't the end point for product market fit. I mean, this has been a completely evolving process for us. And, similar to Art said, we've got a lot of work to do before we find that product market fit to be as suitable as possible. Right now, we're working with customers, we're refining the service, we're figuring out, who's that target customer in which this service is best suited for, and that's on our radar. So we're figuring that out more and more every day.
Yeah, great. Well, if you decide to apply for the DADO program, please feel free, and we'll look forward to working with you.
Hey, thank you, Swarmani. It's been a pleasure talking. Likewise.
Thank you. Okay, right. We are going to go to the next presenter. Thank you, Mac. We're going to go to Anirudh Prabhakaran, who is going to present, let's see.
Example.
Okay, example, all right.
All right. Hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, Shamana.
Hello.
This is Ani. Hi. I'm going to get started. So example is a consumer-to-consumer marketplace for the 15 to 19-year-olds, so the high school and the university students for homework help. So this is a marketplace where they could operate using photos. So anybody, while doing homework and getting stuck, can post a photo, get connected with any other student who could be anywhere, and they help each other.
What's a photo got to do with homework help? This is not a dating agency, right?
Okay, the photo, the complexity in when we did the product market fit, we figured out that trying to, some of the existing applications expect the students to write out the questions or type out the questions on a screen and then get connected with somebody, and those persons helping would need to type out the entire solution. In fact, when we started about 7-8 months ago, we posted our questions on Stack Overflow, and we posted our questions on Quora, and interestingly, we did get help, and we figured out that somebody who has helped must have taken about an hour's time. So nobody has that kind of a time to help unless they are completely motivated. So the photograph cuts down the time to hardly a few seconds. So I think that's the reason for using a photograph.
So what are we posting photographs of?
Okay, I'm using a textbook, or I'm writing something, and I take a photo of the textbook, the question on the textbook, or when I'm trying to solve something and on the 4th line I get stuck. I can post a photo and say, hey, where am I going wrong? Can somebody help me?
I see, I got it. All right, okay.
Could you,
so you're basically scanning notes and stuff and just posting the image of that.
It's a mobile phone. Okay, the app is completely on the mobile. There is no web app on this. So the mobile phones are ubiquitous nowadays with every student. So and wherever they are studying, they can just take a photo and post it. And the person helping is also on the mobile. So the person could be sitting in a coffee shop, could be sitting in a library. Hey, I think I can now provide the help in the next 2 minutes' time. So provide the help and then the transaction gets completed.
Okay.
So could you go back to the previous slide, please? Yeah, thank you. So my customer are high school and college students in the age group 15 to 19. And as I was explaining, example is an on-demand marketplace where they can obtain homework help from other peers whenever they are stuck. They can choose at what point in time they need help, how much of help they want, and when they need the help. So,
and why is it high school and college students from 15 to 19? I can understand high school students 15 to 18. Why just the freshman college students? What's the thinking behind that?
Again, when we did the product market fit, the biggest problem in the university level is Calculus 101, Calculus 102. So they need a lot of help, and the dropout rates from these courses are extremely high. And that leading to poor grades, and there is hardly any help available. So, in fact, if for the younger grades, if there are opportunities available in multiple ways, the moment you get into the higher grades, the help reduces tremendously. And for us, the way we have considered, we have taken a segment. In our minds, we have not kept the high school and university as two different segments. The way we have looked at it is it's one homogeneous segment, because at the end of it, somebody who does advanced calculus could be helping a Calculus 101 student in college, or a Calculus 101 student who's otherwise very good could be helping a junior student in high school. So we see it as one kind of a homogeneous group, and that's why we have clubbed them as one focus area.
Ani, did you do college in the US or did you do college in India?
College in the US.
So you know that people take Calculus 101, 1, whatever, later also, right? It's not just a freshman calculus.
I know. So somewhere we had to stay focused, so we said we will start with the first year. And we have just started, and eventually, as we grow, we could include all the other courses like organic chemistry.
Look at the amount of questions that this 15 to 19 segmentation raises. I almost feel like you should either make it a target audience high school or target audience high school and college. 15 to 19 is kind of neither here nor there.
All right. So I'll take your point. Thank you. Moving to the next slide, what exactly is the example's value proposition? Because this is a marketplace where the asker, the person who seeks help, right now we have two layers, a free layer and a paid layer, and so it's a freemium business model. The paid layer is going live in about 30 days from now. So right now it's all free, and as and when we introduce the paid layer from next month, the asker, when they are in urgent need for help, they could get help for as low as $1. And and we have seen, over several thousand transactions, that the average time taken to provide help, especially if they know the subject, is about 3 to 4 minutes time. So they can easily earn something like more than $10 per hour. And for a student sitting in a coffee shop, it's good money to make. So on one hand, lowest cost. On the other hand, it's good money for other person. Customer acquisition approach, we have so far been only on social media, bootstrapping. So, but we are very active on Snapchat, on Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr. Of late, we have got pretty active on Tumblr. So it's helping us. We are planning to start the on-the-ground campus activities very soon. So to reach out to the students and getting the bulk customers signing up. Now coming to the traction, right now I've captured two matrices on this slide, although there are several more matrices we are tracking. The first metric, the matrix is the number of users. So we started in the month of April this year, and we have been growing exponentially. And by the month of August, we had about 16,000 users. And in the first 8 days of September, we have added 8,000 more users. So looks like, we are going to add another about 32,000 users in September alone. So by end of September, we could be at 50,000 users. And
what are these paid transactions, paying transactions?
No, these are all free transactions. So as I mentioned, the revenue model, the freemium model is starting as of October 1. So until September end, it's like, can you go back to the previous slide, please? Hello? Yeah, thank you. This is going to be a free model until end of September, which is this month. And next month onwards, there would be a freemium. So people can continue posting their questions and getting help for free, something like Quora from anybody. And then there is going to be a paid layer wherein people who need urgent help or people who need additional clarifications, they can pay a transaction cost of $1 and they can get the help.
If I were you, I would cut off the number of transactions you can do for free to a certain number just to get a feel for it. Beyond that, it should be all paid.
Yeah, that's exactly our intention. The intention initially to get the students used to the so-called concept of connecting with others. And in fact, we had so many people asking questions to us, saying that why do you think people will help and why would they help for free? So for us, it was a question of testing out the concept, and it is working very well. The number of transactions as of August was 28,000 transactions, and September, in the first 8 days, we have already done 14,000 transactions. So we expect to do about 60,000 transactions during September. So it is growing very well. And in fact, we have done a market research across the students, asking them their ability to pay $1 for a transaction. And the feedback has been very, very positive. Hey, otherwise, I have two choices of one paying $40, $50 an hour and getting help, or I need to go once a week for a physical face-to-face with some of the department-led tutors, but that is not available whenever I need the help. So I'm ready to pay $1 or $2 to get the help. So this is the update as far as the app is concerned. So specifically, I wanted to focus on 2 questions because I thought that was the format. And the questions to you are, now that I'm growing exponentially and looks like I will do 60,000 transactions this month, next month I'm already targeting something like 140,000, 150,000 transactions. And I think in about 6 months' time, I think I'll be touching 1 million transactions a month. So in
how many users for the number of transactions that you're projecting or experiencing? How many users? What is the number of transactions per user?
Yeah, the number of transactions per user per month, we are now clocking at the rate of about 4 to 5 transactions per student per month.
Okay. So I think the real question is, what is this business? There are a lot of companies out there who basically flame out by trying to grow and do a bunch of free stuff, and then you're dependent on investor money basically to stay alive. In 1 million by 1, you can follow that route. That is a route that a lot of people follow. In 1 million by 1 million, we don't follow that route. We, as you heard from the conversation with Art, focused on the quality of revenue, the sustainability of the revenue, the sustainability of the business, and so forth. So if you follow our methodology, this is not the only methodology for doing business. If you follow our methodology, we would want to see this becoming these transactions moving to paying customers very quickly. So maybe it's 5 transactions for free, after which it's $1 per transaction. Whatever it is, I would like to see another metric developing solidly, which is paying customers.
Okay. All right. So I'll keep that in mind.
And then comes the next question. You have a revenue model here. You have a transaction, a paying transaction model. What percentage of that comes to you? Are you taking 10% of that, 20% of that, 30% of that? What is 20%?
20%. Yes.
20%. So now, if you look at that, we are really talking micro transactions and micro payments. How do you build, couple of $100 million worth of revenue in the, if you're thinking about fundraising, this is the question that you're going to have to get to, is like, how do you get to a couple of $100 million in revenue in the next 6 years, 7 years?
Right. So that's why, the question, in fact, has come in because of that. And because it's a micro transaction, the number of transactions per month in about 12 months' time, I should be doing at least about 10 million transactions a month. So if I don't aim at the
where does that number come from? That number may be your wish list, but does the business support that?
So the point is, unless and until I have that kind of transactions per month and having a significant number of that as paid customers, then your point of 100 million revenues in 5 years' time or something like that is not going to be achievable. So one has to know. So that is where I was. This question has come from that. So should I just worry about getting that 10 million transactions in 12 months' time, and then worry about going taking a 20% commission, or should I just start with the 20% commission right away, right from day one, and then what do I do? So this is how the question had come up.
I would like to see monetization immediately.
All right. Okay. Fine. Then the other question was, see, right now the growth has been done purely through social media and reaching out. We have a very, very active social media presence, and we are doing. I would say that we are doing a pretty good job in connecting with the target audience, and it's gone kind of viral today. So it's already, the way I'm growing, it's obviously viral. However, I would like to accelerate my the growth. Of course, converting that into revenues by looking at some kind of partnerships. So when I say partnerships, maybe with other organizations or maybe textbook suppliers. So many people could be there. But with a small team, I'm not even sure where do I start and how do I build the partnership. So any tips on this would be appreciated.
So the issue that I see here is you're already working on such small margins. Introducing partnerships is going to further erode the margin, because nobody's going to do partnerships for free, right? People are going to want to get revenues out of it, and for you to make all that attractive for partners, given that this is microtransactions and you don't have a sense of how it's going to grow, how fast it's going to grow, right now I would just stay with what you're doing and use the viral nature of social media to grow. You can worry about, there are many ways you can do partnerships. You can do affiliate partnerships, for instance. That means that you're going to have to part with a large chunk, 10 to 15% of your revenues with affiliate partners further. So it's like micro transactions, and how much can you do to make it interesting for people? It may not be so attractive for partners to work with you because it's like really chicken shit money, right? So I would like to see you focus on developing your customer base and monetize your customer base as quickly as possible. And the way to think about it is, Ani, that whatever is your burn rate, what is your burn rate? How much are you burning right now in doing what you're doing?
Right now we are burning at about $30,000 per month.
So the first order of business is to recover that $30,000 a month.
Yes.
So get yourself to break even as soon as possible by introducing the revenue model and cut it off at 5 transactions for free, and then after that you pay $1 per transaction and see how much of the audience that you're able to attract actually is worth attracting. Because if you load up on a bunch of free riders, that is a useless business. The internet is full of free riders. And being proud of a whole lot of people who are going to be free riding on your offering is not going to help you survive or sustain.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Yeah. So I got answers to my questions. Happy to take any questions if any more questions are there.
I'll open up the line for Q&A later on. Just give me 5 minutes to go through the one-on-one programs because people have questions on that.
Sure. All right. So thanks.
But I like what you're doing. I think it's a very reasonable hypothesis. You'll find out very soon as you put up a transaction fee, whether people are actually,
All right. I will know very soon. In 4 weeks' time, I would know. Thank you.
You'll know very soon.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.
Okay, folks, if you like what we are doing here, please refer 1M, 1M to serious entrepreneurs. And the word serious is really important because we want people who are going to stay with their ideas and their businesses. It takes many years to build significant businesses, and you really need a lot of staying power, a lot of resilience, persistence, strength of character to be successful entrepreneurs. And if you're a fly-by-night kind of entrepreneur, this is not the program for you. Absolutely not a party here. So everything you're looking for in terms of resources is at 1mby1m.com. It is a workspace. We work with you in many different ways, from many different touch points. We work with you. We help you learn. We help you climb this extremely steep learning curve of first-time entrepreneurship. And we try to make it easy for you, efficient for you, and fast for you to climb that learning curve. So you'll find a lot of free content on our blog that is both educational and inspirational. You'll find the Entrepreneur Journeys book series, which is very reasonably priced and also is an extremely solid body of educational content. You'll find them all on Amazon, Kindle. There's a ton of information on our website. You can start understanding the program and exploring the program on the website, and we recommend that you do that. These roundtables happen every week. This is our 275th roundtable. Over 30,000 people have attended, and obviously people get value out of these sessions. So come use this program. This is a working session. We are here to work with you, and please use this session to come and work with us. You can register on the website. Also, we have the premium program where we offer extensive methodology guidance. We have a curriculum that is video lectures and case study based, and we help you with business development, we help you with strategy consulting, and we help you with financing as well as media relations. The $1 Million Club on the website is a description of some of the successful 1M members. The 1M value equation link on the website gives you an analysis of the ROI. We do not take equity. In this program, we want you to preserve your equity so that when you raise money and get to the later stage when you have product market fit and are able to raise money on good terms, you can have a clean cap table. These are important. For first-time entrepreneurs, it's very difficult to appreciate why we recommend you do what you do, what we recommend you do. In fact, our principle is that you should not, somebody is disrupting the call. All right. So our philosophy is you should not raise money at below $2 million pre-money valuation, and to do that, you need to preserve your equity. The 1M self-assessment on the website is one set of questions that I hope you would ask yourselves as you're stepping through this process, thinking about your business, the business strategy elements, and so forth. And especially if you're thinking of raising money, you should go and do this self-assessment so that you understand where are your gaps. These are the questions that investors want answers to, and you should make sure that you do your homework. The premium program, there's tons of information, what to expect from it, and video FAQs and etc. You can do your evaluation just by, navigating our website on whether this is the right program for you or not. We only work with IT and IT-enabled services entrepreneurs. We don't work with clean tech, biotech, and so forth. Now, the curriculum is taught in video lectures and case studies. And we've had over 600 entrepreneurs participate in this case study program. They have shared their stories, their journeys, their lessons from the trenches so that you can learn from them. So we've created this place where we can simulate the experience of your sitting down and having a cup of coffee with somebody who has done it before and has interesting and actionable insights for you to execute on different topics. And the topics are under core, you have bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. All of these topics you have to master. You have no choice. You have to master these topics in building a successful business, and we teach them to you through this program. On the electives, we have various different industry sectors where you might be doing your business, Web 3.0 and e-commerce, cloud computing and business solutions, healthcare, IT, online education, etc. And again, there are lots of electives at this point. You can use whatever you want to based on what you're doing. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. Philosophy on financing, as we said earlier, is bootstrap first, raise money later. Product market fit before raising money is essential. And then we help you with, we have a huge footprint in media, social media, etc., and we help you get coverage for your company and get the word out through that significant clout, so to speak, in media. If you're looking to partner with us, please use the 1M1 affiliate program as one of the options, or you can also use the incubator in a box. I'll talk about that in a moment. Upcoming free roundtables pretty much every week until the end of October. In November we have breaks, but until at the end of October, every week we are here. If you haven't come up with an idea yet, and if you're working in the emerging markets, look at Vision India 2020. There are $45 billion business ideas that you will hopefully stir some ideas in your head and help you ideate. The Incubator in a Box is our platform on which various partners in different parts of the world, both corporations, governments, and other kinds of partners are running incubation programs. So this announcement that we just made earlier is running on the Incubator in a Box with Delaware government. We also work with various corporations, large corporations, on this platform. Quick summary of the recent Entrepreneur Journeys books. Billion Dollar Unicorns is the latest. If you read this book, the one recurring theme that you will hear is bootstrap first, raise money later. You know, that's one theme that you see that is easy to replicate in your business strategy. And I've seen success story after success story of building very successful companies using that theme. So what was interesting for me in doing this research is to see that that theme is omnipresent in the Billion Dollar Unicorns case studies. Carnival in the cloud, bootstrapping with a paycheck, from e-commerce to Web 3.0, how to leverage the evolution of the internet. All these are case study-based books that help you learn different topics that may be of interest to you. And once more, I want to reiterate that we have just announced a partnership with Delaware Economic Development Office, DEDO, and I would like to invite Ken Anderson, who is the driver of this partnership, to please dial in at this point and talk a little bit about what you're expecting to accomplish with this partnership. So the dialing number is on your screen. Please follow the instructions. And, Ken, are you on the call?
I'm here, Samana.
Fantastic. Ken, please talk to our audience about what you're trying to accomplish here with the 1M1M partnership and whatever perspective you want to weigh in here.
Well, thank you, Samana. Thanks for allowing me to kind of share with the audience about why we're engaged with this exciting partnership for us. First of all, we're the Delaware Economic Development Office. We are affectionately called DEDO here in the state of Delaware. We're an executive management office of Governor Jack Markell, and we're really responsible for attracting and retaining small businesses in the state of Delaware, large businesses as well, for tourism within the state, helping small minority women-owned businesses. That's really our calling. I started inadvertently, touring on the internet, ran into this webinar about a year ago, and frankly was just intrigued with this Indian woman kind of telling these entrepreneurs what they should be doing about their business, and the tit for tat that went forth around that discussion was just very entertaining at first, but then I found it extremely instructive, and at that point, about a year ago, I started listening in on these webinars every Thursday. It became a part of my my regular schedule. And the level of credibility, the rigor of the exchange, the resources, as I dived a little bit further into the website and saw what 1M actually offers, was just intrigued with this entity and what they were doing in the marketplace, having not seen anything quite like it. And then the aspect of this tool being totally global and virtual, I just saw great possibilities for a large segment of our marketplace that are fairly serious entrepreneurs that are in a bootstrap mode. They're working full-time hours, they're building their businesses after hours and on weekends, and they can't get to the physical accelerators and incubators that we have here. I just saw a perfect tool to fill a major gap and problem that I had personally identified and been dealing with in my 8 years of being here.
Fantastic. And what are you hearing? I know the announcement happened at the end of August. What are you hearing, Ken, in your entrepreneurial community? Who's applying and what kind of interest are you seeing from the entrepreneurs to participate in the program that you have now put together with us?
Just pure excitement. We are in the final stages of our application. I needed to get a couple people to look at it. We're on the final stages of that. As soon as we finalize that, we're going to blast it to our marketplace. Our phone is ringing off the hook about how to get involved in this program. I think our marketplace just sees the results of, frankly, things that they've been looking for entities like ours in Delaware to provide. A robust, very credible arrow that they can put in their quiver for entrepreneurial evaluation, assessment, and analysis. And there's just a lot of excitement about this right now. I know we're going to be inundated with applications, and I know, Sermano, you want us to get really serious, viable entities that can grow through your process, and we just expect a large segment of that kind of profile businesses to apply for this program.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We will welcome them, and we look forward to working with them. So folks, if there are other people in the audience who are listening to this who are in Delaware, please feel free to get in touch with Ken. And also, people doing economic development work elsewhere in the world. I know we constantly get visits from these kinds of people from different parts of the world, either in-person visits or phone visits or roundtable visits. Actually, see how powerful the partnership is, and I have full faith, having talked to Ken extensively over the last year, that we will be able to make something very cool happen here. So thrilled, absolutely thrilled to bits to this partnership with you, Ken. You've been a fabulous collaborator in coming this far, and I'm sure we'll go a long way from here. Thank you for joining the call.
We're excited as well, so thank you for allowing us to participate.
Pleasure. Okay, folks, line is open for Q&A, and I see some questions in public chat that I will start picking up and answering as well. But in the meantime, folks, please also use the public chat to introduce yourselves. Like I see Roland Strotry has introduced himself from Minfo in Melbourne, Australia. Roland, what is your project? What are you working on? And Shorin Sarkar is asking, Shomana, how do you create just great content so consistently we struggle with creating relevant content for our business? Shorin, this is actually quite an expensive process. Creating great content is an expensive process. It takes a lot of thought, a lot of planning, a lot of processing. Every single piece of content that we produce goes through a huge amount of due diligence behind the scene, both in terms of screening, which entrepreneurs to bring on to a show or to interview for the Entrepreneur Journey series or a thought leadership series, and then there's all kinds of processing, editing, and then of course, as you know, I do all the interviews personally, so it's a lot of my time goes into, asking them these questions, and and it's 20 years of experience in this business that goes into asking the right questions, extracting the right kinds of nuggets so that you can get something out of it. So there's no shortcut to producing great content. And frankly, I'm not sure if we could do it without all those pieces and that huge investment that we make in content. Content is a very key piece of our toolkit through which we are trying to accomplish the mission of 1M1M. Does that answer your question, Shorin? So folks, while you are thinking about what questions to ask, let me take a question that Maureen is providing here in Quora. This is a question that I answered this week on Quora. And the question is, when is it a good time in a startup's life cycle to raise money? And my answer to that is that 1M1M, our mantra is bootstrap first, raise money later. You've heard it today before. And see, this is a question on everybody's mind. Achieve product, my answer also includes the following: achieve product market fit through bootstrapping, establish SAM, scalability, a deterministic path to fast growth curves, then raise money. My $1 Billion Unicorns book has case study after case study of this tried and true methodology working for entrepreneurs. So that's my answer to the Quora question, when is it a good time in a startup's life cycle to raise money? Roland is saying, Minfo connects consumers and public with any message they hear, see, or even can't hear. You can watch what we have built, hope to present in a couple of weeks. Okay, we'll look forward to your presentation. Maureen is supplying another popular question from Quora. What percentage of startup accelerator applicants have a working prototype or MVP by the time they apply? All right, let's see what I answered there. Okay, so the question actually has some extra color. Some of these accelerators get hundreds of applicants, and I'm just wondering if having a working MVP automatically puts my team into the top 10 to 25%. I think I heard Jason Calacanis say that 9 out of 10 pitches he hears don't have an MVP. I wonder if that number is similar for accelerators. I'd also like to hear from anyone who gets pitched a lot what percentages they encounter. My answer to that is, we prefer that you join as early as possible without an MVP in 1M1M. That's because we want you to use our methodology to ensure that you're building something that can be a viable business. Whatever your idea, please run it through the 1M1M self-assessment. Happy to discuss further at a free public roundtable. How about your questions? You don't have any questions today? I see so many people in the room. I would love to know what kinds of issues are bothering you, what kinds of issues you are wrestling with. By the way, I want to introduce you also to Irina Patterson on the 1M1M team. If you have questions about the program, if you're evaluating the program to join and you have questions, Irina will be happy to help you step through any of those questions. Her email is irina@1m-by-1m.com. She'll also be happy to get on the phone with you if that's necessary. Please definitely spend time on the website. We have loaded up the website with all kinds of FAQ answers so that you can get pretty much all information about the 1M1M program online, but then if you still want to talk to Irina, she's there. Roland is asking, what is your process, time frame to get media coverage for a startup? So Roland, we have a pretty elaborate process through which we let you pass your messages through our Twitter channel. And Twitter then flows through our Facebook and LinkedIn channels as well. On LinkedIn, for example, I'm a LinkedIn influencer with a very high ranking, and I have over 160,000 followers. So those kinds of things can happen very, very, very quickly. You know, we don't make promises of actually getting you covered by other people. There we will provide you introductions. Unless you have a story that is coverage worthy, we cannot commit anything. But what we can do is cover you through our channels. So our social media footprint is very large, you know. So that's where we have control over the process, and we can let you, on our blog, we can cover you on the blog. There are some thresholds. You know, we have a thing called incubation radar, where you have to be in revenue to get coverage. But once you have some revenue, we will get you covered on incubation radar. That is in our hands. So we're not dependent on anybody else. And then deal radar is a piece that we do for people who have crossed $1 million. And the thing that we notice is that our blog has a big readership amongst other journalists, other analysts, investors, and so forth. So a lot of things that start on our blog actually takes a life of its own. So you will see that there's a company that was a guest at the Roundtable, Pluralsight, Aaron Sconard. We covered this company. We were the first on a technology media company to cover this company called Pluralsight ever. And after they got coverage on our site, they just had immense amount of coverage from there on. And Aaron actually talks about that in the interview that in this roundtable session where he was a guest earlier in the year. I think he was here in January. So if you go to the to our YouTube channel and look up that interview, you'll find he discusses what he got out of it. So a lot of it depends on what stage you're in, what your message is, what kind of story you are able to tell with your message. If it's a message that doesn't have differentiation, then you're doing something wrong in your business. Your business has to have a positioning, has to be differentiated, has to tell some sort of a story. And those are the kinds of messages that we are able to take out there and build more momentum around from a PR point of view. PR is very complicated. There are certain things that are in our hands where we can do more. And then the broader stuff, you also have to provide some stuff, stories and credible stories based on which other people will be willing to pick up your story and cover it. We will be a lot more flexible and a lot more willing to accommodate you if you're a member of the program, but mainstream PR people or other social media people will be less generous and less forthcoming. Nonetheless, we have a lot of influence, we have huge numbers of followers and a lot of credibility in social media, so we do get picked up a lot. Does that answer your question, Roland? It's a good question. Anybody else? Other questions, comments? We're kind of at the end of the session. We're actually past the regular end time. If you have any other questions, I'll take it. Otherwise, we'll meet you back here next week. And please let Maureen know if you would like a slot to pitch. And we look forward to working with you. This is, as I keep reiterating, this is a working session. We invite you to come here and work with us, and we will work with you shoulder to shoulder. And then when you join the 1M1M Premium program, we will continue to work with you a lot more closely on a lot more regular basis so that you make progress. I can, at this point, after running this program for close to 5 years, I can guarantee you that we will be helping you in your journey for sure. If you do your part, if you do the work that we require you to do, we will be able to help you. Roland, what is the question? When is the deadline for pitch appointments? I'm not sure I understand. You just need to go to the website and go to the free public roundtable page, and you register to pitch there, and Maureen will send you the instructions and schedule you. There's no deadline really, but you're going to have to send in your slides to book your pitch slot at least a couple of days in advance. Okay, folks, thank you for coming, and I hope you found the session useful and enjoyable, and look forward to working with you more next week. Bye, everybody.